back to the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame and Museum. Glad you can join us here on the Braves Sports Network, 91.7 WPRL and WPRL.org. Glad you can join us. Live coverage of the 2025 football signing party. All the signees will be officially introduced and rolled out. Had a busy early signing period, a few more since, and we'll talk about how all that comes together. Of course, Braves Head football coach Cedric Thomas will join us. Assistant coaches will join us, so we'll talk some Braves football as the program will start at 6:30. Glad you can join us, whether you're listening to us or watching us on Facebook Live. The Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame and Museum. I mean, in this room, you see a lot of plaques. You see behind me here a lot of history, and we'll get a chance to talk some Braves football. We're going to start as always, and this is something that we've done over the years. We start talking athletics, and we're going to talk with Athletics Director Dwayne Robinson here from the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. He joins us here talking Braves football. The schedule was released. We'll talk about that, and there's a change in the schedule. Game 1 against Northwestern State, so we'll get into that. Mr. Robinson, how you doing, sir?
Doing well, Charles. How are you doing?
Good. How was the traffic? Was the traffic?
A little hectic coming in, but luckily I was on the right side of traffic. So.
Yeah, it's right off Lakeland Drive here. Busy thoroughfare here in Jackson. No matter what time you come through here, and it's right off I-55, a busy corridor. The hospitals are across the street, so this is a busy area. But it's a good thing for the Hall of Fame, of course, when sports season is always rolling, and a lot of history here. Having this event here for the second year in a row, we were in the adjacent room, which was so packed last year. They were renovating this area, and it will be close to the main hall where all the exhibits are, so folks can check that out. But last year we were in an adjacent room, and it was packed wall to wall. That just shows you just the excitement for Braves football then, and an excitement for Braves football in 2025. So we'll get right into it. And look, football season's about here. Spring camp is about a month away, and before you know it, we're going to be ready for some spring football.
Yes, football will be in the air. You know, we got the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, and it's the end of professional football, but it's just, I tell you, recruiting period is an exciting time all over the country. As we know, this is the mecca of HBCU football here in the state of Mississippi, so we're really excited about the start of spring practice and the recruits that we got coming in, and just talking to the coach. So we're ready to we've hit the ground running, and we're really excited for this upcoming year already.
Well, with the early signing period in December, based on what you've seen, and the list will be released officially coming up here within the next hour, did we do a lot of our heavy lifting in the early signing period?
From what I've been told, we did. I was speaking to the head coach and offensive coordinator. We plugged some holes up, and we got some special needs that we covered with that, and some key positions filled as well. So really excited about the young men that we have coming in. I know our coach has been working really hard to fill any gaps that we have, and you know, we had that new ruling come out this year, so we had some kids to stay over and still be a part of our program. So we're excited about it. We really are, and just can't wait for these young men to get on campus. Some of them are on campus right now, actually, so they're getting the feel of what's next and what to expect from Brave football.
Talk about that new ruling for fans who might not know.
Well, the NCAA, there was the quarterback up at Vanderbilt filed a case for himself that affected a large number of student athletes, and within that, any student athlete that attended junior college, coming out of high school, that went to junior college initially and was graduating this year, they extended them an extra year of eligibility, and that was throughout all the sports. So that afforded some other student athletes the opportunity for another year, but they had to be graduating this year in all of those sports. Fortunately and unfortunately, it was just effective for this year. Doesn't mean that it's ongoing. However, that it's definitely potentially impacting some of the signees that you may have coming in as well, because some kids that you thought may be leaving may be returning to your program now, and that may impact an incoming high school kid or a junior college kid that was looking to come in and make an impact, right away or play. And hopefully, well, in talking with the NCAA, some of those rules are ever changing as we've seen,
Hmm.
and so you never know what's going to come out next. But we had some interesting conversations in January up at the NCAA convention. So we'll see how it works out. But this year it's been a benefit and a bonus for those student athletes.
So at max, a kid has 2 years of JUCO and then another 4 years in college. He could have 6 years.
Well, not quite, because if you, let's say he went to junior college, he could have 6 years. To your point.
Yeah.
But let's say he has stayed, and you got 5 years to play for. So depending on his situation, it could be a little longer, because he could have, if he's graduating this year. When I say a little longer, I mean 6 years for sure, but definitely a situation where a kid had some injury within that, some other things that could add some additional years. But to your point, if he's graduating this year, you had 5 years to play for. We definitely added a year this year.
So it's evolving.
Yes, it is evolving for sure, for sure.
We're talking with Athletics Director Dwayne Robinson here. Speaking of evolving, the 2025 football schedule for Alcorn is evolving, and we open up with Northwestern State. By the way, one change to the schedule. The schedule has been released. Talk about that. I mean, the plan for releasing the schedule. I mean, we had heard that the schedule was going to be released today, but obviously we got it out there a little earlier.
We did, and our fans, were excited about the football schedule, and you want to, if you have things in place. Fortunately, we have a great president that's a football guy, so we sat down and worked out all the kinks, and was able to make that release. And I think a lot of people were interested about homecoming, and when that date was. But there are some schools out there now that hasn't released their schedule. Some conferences do it, all at one time. But we're fortunate that we were able to do that along with some other schools and get that information out to our fans. There's some other things about the schedule that we'll be putting out there as well. We have had that one change that you spoke of with Northwestern. And just a little bit of a carrot, there may be another change. But
Okay.
the teams won't change. Let me say that.
Okay.
Let me be very clear about that. The teams won't change, but some dates or some, not dates, venues, may change, because we're being asked to potentially participate in some things and be a part of some things. So you just never know. But we won't say anything until it's absolutely final.
So there's a possibility that there's some more adjustments to the schedule.
Just a bit, not much, and but it'll be good. It'll be definitely a good thing for us to have these opportunities to showcase our program, our student athletes, our band. It'll definitely be a good opportunity for us if there is a change, for sure.
Well, a lot of folks are concerned the second year in a row that we don't have a home game in August or September. Our first home game isn't until October. That's the second year in a row. And, of course, when we released the schedule a few days ago, last week, that was an immediate concern. How do you quell those concerns?
Well, for me and where I am right now, the schedule it's been done now for almost last 7 or 8 years. So it was a bit of a challenge to go in and make adjustments to it right now. And the schedule is actually in place definitely through this year and part of next year. Doesn't mean that we won't have an opportunity next year to have a home game in August. We would love to, but this year for sure the schedule was kind of already set for us, and there was very little changes that we could make, unfortunately. But that is something that I've heard our alumni and fans about that, and the president and I have talked about it. So it is something that we will definitely strongly consider as we move forward.
Well, just a little context. There is what's called a SWAC master schedule,
For sure.
and it's done 10 years out. So I was texting someone who's familiar with all those parameters. How many years are we into that? Maybe year 6 or 7, maybe even 5. I don't know how many years in, but the SWAC schedule is set for the next however many years till we get to the end of that 10-year cycle, and then probably the next couple of years,
for
they're
sure.
going to go with another 10-year schedule. So some of this stuff is, like you said, some of this stuff has already been set in motion. I think the obvious question, and probably can't really answer it, but normally we play Grambling and Southern in October. When I first got here, we were playing Grambling in the first game in Shreveport,
Wow.
and normally we play Southern in October, but now we have Grambling and Southern in November. But obviously, that was set obviously as a part of the master schedule
For
some
sure.
years
For
ago.
sure. It was. And we are kind of we are pretty far down the road in that master schedule. Not we don't know quite yet. That'll be a conversation with our presidents and athletic directors that we'll talk about going forward. I do think, and based on my experiences, they do try to push the conference schedule further down into the football season, and allow schools to um, develop a non-conference schedule early on.
Yeah.
Um, I know we have the MEAC SWAC Challenge, which is something that I know is ongoing right now. So that's an opportunity for us, hopefully coming up soon. But that conference schedule is, like you said, is built out well in advance. I do know that the conversation is starting now to build that out as we go forward. So there'll be an opportunity for us to have some input on for the next 10 years,
Hmm.
and we'll have some conversations with all the presidents and ads and coaches for that matter. So there'll be some input uh, from a scheduling standpoint as we go forward. So I don't want it's not a athletic director choice. I want to be very clear about that, but I do have an input with as all the other athletic directors do as well, and it is my hope that we all can come to an agreement on that and build the best schedule that we can for all of our institutions. Because just like our fans and coaches want certain games at certain times, other fans do as well. Now, I'm going to fight for Alcorn State University for sure, and talk to my coaches and my president to see what's best for Alcorn as we go forward.
And then the early bye, we have week 3 or week 4 we have a bye, and then 9 straight weeks after that. Was that something that was already kind of that bye was already penciled in several years ago when the schedule was made?
Absolutely. That bye was either going to be that week or the week before. There wasn't really an opportunity for us to move a bye down in the conference schedule because those games were already set. Um, Coach, I think there was an opportunity for us maybe to have um, where we play our homecoming, have a bye there, but everybody's used to having homecoming in October. So there were some things that we had to take into consideration. My main concern was talking to our coach and looking at historically what we've done, where he felt like he wanted to have the rest going into the season. Um, you got to play the games. You got to play football, and when the games show up, everybody typically has a similar schedule. And I know there's some folks with late buys and things like that, but I can tell you those things were already in place, definitely for right now.
And yeah, I was just, you look at other schedules around the conference. Southern University's got multiple buys, 2 or 3 buys during the course, and so that's just some schools have it kind of set up differently than others. Our buy has typically been mid-season or a little bit past mid-season, but this one is early, and we got 9 straight weeks of football.
And I can tell you as we go forward, Charles, we want to take our kids, the welfare of our student athletes into consideration as well. So those type of situations where we can institute an opportunity for rest and some as we the word that I'm looking for is recuperation
Yeah.
from playing. We'll definitely do that. Unfortunately, we're just in a tough situation for this year, but as we always done, we'll be successful in trying to make it happen.
The decision about homecoming, obviously Lincoln, but there was some conversation. We were playing Mississippi Valley early in that same month. The decision to make Lincoln homecoming as compared to maybe a week or so earlier.
That was a conversation that again we all sat down at the table and talked about it. The weekend that we wanted, which weekend did we want it to have homecoming? What was the best weekend? Not necessarily as much as looking at the opponent per se, but taking that into consideration as well. But more so, what was the ideal timing for us to have homecoming? Of course, you always want a good opponent for homecoming, and that's something that, as we talked about it with the coach, with administration, that's the weekend that we settled on for this year. And as we go forward, we'll listen to all thoughts from particularly our coaches and our administration as we do that going forward as well. So it wasn't a decision made in a silo. Just want to be very clear about that because me walking in 120 days ago, some things were definitely kind of in place and moving forward. So, but our coach is okay with it, and that's the main thing.
Well, in my opinion, this is just Charles Edmonds' opinion
Of
as
course.
as a SWAC fan. People get caught up in the opponent. Is it about the opponent or is it about the date? And because Alcorn's homecoming typically, traditionally, is the second week in October. That's typically when it is.
Mm-hmm.
The opponent, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. We played conference opponents for homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
We played down for homecoming. So is it about the opponent or is it about the date? You want to keep the traditional date that Alcorn State has their homecoming, which is October 15th, 16th, 17th, whatever that Saturday falls on, or it could be earlier, like
Right.
last year was October 5th. But is it about home? Is it about the opponent or is it about the dates?
The date. Well, I can tell you, um, I couldn't answer that question specifically, but I can tell you we definitely want to stay within those ranges of dates.
Yeah.
Early October, and like you said, that's typically when it has fallen. Um, I really couldn't say if it was about the opponent
Yeah.
or the date. But
Well,
I can tell
I'm
you
being
that-
personal though.
Yeah.
I'm just it's just my own personal
Right.
because I'm on different shows and podcasts. We talk about this stuff like homecoming. Is homecoming about the opponent
Right.
or is it about the date?
Right,
I
right.
think it's about the date because Grambling has their homecoming in November. There are some homecomings that are in November for some of our schools. So you want to keep it in the traditional realm of when you have it. Every school's different.
Well, I can tell you, the later you try to have homecoming, I don't think that's a good idea because a lot has gone on prior to then.
Yeah.
Some people are, a lot of different things are happening as you go down in the fall. You're getting closer to some other things, classics and things like that happening. So that can take away from your attendance depending on the school.
Yeah.
We have very loyal fans that are going to come out and be a part of what we're doing. I think no matter who we're playing.
Yeah.
Of course, I think some of them would rather see, a different kind of opponent, but I think those fans are going to come out and watch us play no matter who we're playing.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Homecoming. Right. To me, it's not as much about the opponent as it is about the date. You want to have it around the same period of time. The non-conference schedule, obviously opening up with Northwestern State,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have Mississippi State. From my understanding, we're returning a game to Northwestern State that we
Yeah.
played several years ago at our place,
Mm-hmm.
and Mississippi State. That game was scheduled under contract several years ago. So kind of explain that because people are like, where did that come from? Where did Northwestern State come from?
Well,
I mean, I knew about Mississippi State. I mean, I knew about it. And Northwestern State, we were returning a game to Natchitoches because they
Right.
came to us several years ago.
Exactly. Well, I can tell you that, these games out of our non-conference schedule are, first of all, they're important for us financially, to have some of these, like a Mississippi State. And getting a school like Mississippi State that's not a big travel investment is important for us as well. But this year's schedule, I think, I think next year as well. This schedule was built like 8 years out.
Yeah.
So, whatever the previous administration developed those contracts and we got into it, and I think it's going to work out for us. Of course, some other schools are doing some much bigger things, but they take a bigger toll on your program and your student athletes. Playing an Ole Miss or Mississippi State or, even a SEC school, our coach feels like he won't get beat up so bad. He can still be, to a certain degree competitive, and the proceeds from these guarantees can help the program and help the athletic department. And gives our kids an opportunity to say, a lot of them feel like they're just as good as some of these guys. So it gives them an opportunity to showcase their talent as well. And we may not be as deep as some of those schools, but it's an opportunity for growth for us. If we make a good showing, whether it be the student athlete and the program, it enhances. We get a chance to showcase our brand. So I think overall it's a good opportunity for us. As we continue to build out our schedule, those guaranteed games will still be there. I will always sit down with the coach and the administration to ensure that we're making a step in the right direction.
You are tuned into WPRL 91.7 FM, broadcasting from the campus of Alcorn State University.
We are talking with Alcorn Athletics Director Dwayne Robinson. Is it my understanding USM's coming up? We're going to be playing USM's. That's in 26.
That's the way it's looking right now. We have them back on our schedule, so that's going to be another good in-state rival. That's been a good place for our fans to travel to, and they treat us. From my understanding, they treat us well down there, and not like some other schools that I've gone to since I've been.
Do we have to go back down that road?
No, sir, we do not. We do not. But, yes, they are coming back up on the schedule as well, and we think it's going to be a good opportunity for us overall as well.
And then Ole Miss in 27.
Yep, Ole Miss is coming in too. So I think this particular schedule has been built out for us for at least the last 10 years almost.
Yeah.
And got another big school coming up that I'll mention on the next time we talk. But school over in Texas. So we're looking to do some good things, and I think these opportunities are going to be really good for Alcorn State University and definitely for our athletic program and our kids.
There are people out there who follow not only Alcorn football but the SWAC that would say, why? Why are we getting $300,000, $400,000, $500,000? We played Arkansas several years ago in Little Rock. I was a $500,000 plus pay date. People ask why. Why are we doing it? The obvious question is the pay dates and the guarantees, but it's not reassuring to a lot of our folks why we're doing that when we can play a home game down, and get a win and feel good about that as compared to getting the big payday. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can tell you, Charles, that one of the things I would love to play down and fill up our stadium. If I sold all the season tickets that I have available and everybody came into the game, I would not need as much of these guarantee games. I wouldn't. And I know Alcorn fans love Alcorn State University football. I'm not trying to say anything negative towards that, but let's be honest. When we have our games, there's a percentage of folks that come in the game and buy our season tickets, and there's another percentage that come and enjoy the festivities. We still have to run the athletic program at a certain level with a certain budget, and these guarantee games help us do that. Is it the best idea for us? I wouldn't have to want to do it, but I have to. Am I going to go to a school that's going to create problems for our program and embarrass our program? I don't want to do that either. But I'm always going to talk to my coach and talk to my president and listen to our fans as best I can, but also encourage them to say, hey, we're trying to be a top tier. We're now, I have some recent relationships that with former athletes and alumni that are coming back into the fold to help us do some things. So the goal is to get there. The goal is to get there where we don't. But I will say as we have these conversations, we're in a position right now where we still have to do this. And as we go forward, I would love to step away from it.
Well, the big conversation that's going to be had, Grambling's getting $1 million to play Ohio State. Let's say Nebraska calls A.D. Robinson and says, hey, come up to Lincoln. We'll give Alcorn $1 million. It's $1 million. It's Nebraska. Is that something that you would strongly consider?
I would take that phone call, and then the next thing I would do is have a conversation with those folks that I got to have a conversation with. Now, when in our situation that we're in, I'm going to listen. I can't just hang the, hey, we're not coming.
You cannot not take that phone call.
I can't not take the phone call. And I have a president that wants me to take that phone call, and we all have a conversation about the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, it's just opportunity. Nebraska may be down that following year. You know, it could be a situation where Nebraska needs an opponent. You know, but I can tell you those big guarantees are kind of going away. And those schools are not going to be able to place some of these lower level schools and still, you know, get the what they need on their side as far as credit of playing these schools and having that big payout. So if that call comes anytime in the near future, I'm definitely going to listen. I wouldn't hang the phone up, but I would definitely take into consideration all the things that I mentioned, our student athletes, our university, and having a whole conversation with the folks that need to be a part of that.
But you're going to take the phone call.
I'm going to take the phone call, for sure. I'm going to take the phone call.
One more caveat as far as the schedule's concerned. Florida A&M, and we can kind of share this now, but a few months ago there was a possibility that we might have been playing Florida A&M in Mobile. That was discussed. Obviously, it's in Tallahassee. How did that kind of round out to where we are? Because not only are we playing Florida A&M in Tallahassee, it is, ladies and gentlemen, their homecoming.
Yep, it is.
And it was kind of, you know, we were hoping not, but I have a source down in Tallahassee that said, look, that's probably a possibility. And then a couple of days later, he said, stamp it, it's done.
Yeah. Well, they have new administration as well, new president, new AD. And I'm sure that some decisions had to be made regarding their schedule. They love their football, too, there as well. And we were hoping to do Mobile back-to-back this year and next year so that we could potentially offset, have some cost savings there for both programs. But it's my understanding that they wanted a certain number of games at home as well.
Yeah.
And they had an ideal time for homecoming as well. And we fell right in that window. So once I heard back from the athletic director, that's the decision that they made based on a number of different things. So as athletic directors go forward, we have to listen to our stakeholders.
Yeah.
And that was a part of the rationale behind them wanting. It wasn't just an Alcorn situation. We fell in the window when it needed to happen. So we're going to be spoilers when we go down there.
Well, I think from a historical standpoint, people who've been around Alcorn a lot longer than me, it's been forever since Alcorn football has played in Tallahassee. And I'm looking forward to going to Bragg. I'm looking forward to that. It's their homecoming. It's off the charts. Hotel rooms are hard to come by.
Oh, yeah.
And so, what would you say to folks? I know we got to get our team down there somehow, and I'm sure that'll get worked out. But what would you tell our folks who are kind of anxious and scrambling? Because it is, I say in the next 30, 60 days, maybe too late.
It may be too late in the next 2 weeks. I used to work at Florida A&M, and I can tell you, they love their football there as well. And if you are planning to go to Tallahassee, just go ahead and get your room somewhere, because they have to. I don't know if Florida State's having anything that weekend as well.
No, from what I was told, they are out of town that weekend.
Well, that helps the situation. Unfortunately, Tallahassee will have increased rates of hotels in the area.
Yeah.
But there are some towns close by. But I would say, even if you're thinking about going to Tallahassee, go ahead and get your reservations for that. And we're going to need and want as many Alcornites there as possible, because we want to be spoilers and want to enjoy that opportunity while we're there being successful on their field.
I'm having a hard time. I got a friend down there. He's giving me some recommendations. North Georgia, South Georgia is not too far from.
There's a city called Thomasville.
Yes.
that which is that might be where we are at this point. Um, just it's about 40-minute drive.
Yeah.
Like driving to Vicksburg or something from Jackson. So that would be the place that I would recommend if you can't get anything in Tallahassee, because now that they've announced it, I'm sure the hotels there are just going crazy with it.
And they're expensive.
Yes.
Got a question. We were talking about these guarantee games. Of course, last year when we played UAB and Vanderbilt, the bands weren't a part of that. What are your thoughts as far as the bands being a part of these guarantee games, and will they be a part of, let's say, the Mississippi State game?
Well, I can tell you that's part of my conversation when I talk to people that want us to come and play. I want the Sounds of Dynamite to be a part of it, but I also want them to benefit financially. So when I say that, when we talk about what we would get in the guarantee, I do include the band in the conversation, because I want them to have those students to have that exposure as well, that experience of going to those schools. Most schools want the band to be a part of it, so we don't shy away from having that holistic conversation about the number. And so we do have that. That's a part of the negotiation. I want to be very clear about that. And it's not just about football when it comes to that. And I'm always going to advocate for them to be a part of the package. When we do that. So we get excited about the opportunity, but we also, our cheer team, the band, it allows us, if we can put all of that as a part of the number, then now we can start talking about, our SGA and some other students having the experience as well. So just trying to be all inclusive when we have those conversations and talking about who's going to be taken care of within that. It's all a part of the negotiation.
So will the Sounds of Dynamite be in Starkville?
More than likely, yes.
Okay.
Yep, more than likely, yes. We're going to do everything we can. Whatever funds that we are getting, we're going to support. Support part of that. We know we got the big Macy's Day coming up, parade coming up. So the band is going to be on full display next year. So we want them to be a part of all of our success. They're a big part of the student athletes. Love it when they're there, and even when they come to the basketball games. It's a big deal to have the Sounds of Dynamite behind us and helping us, toward our success.
And of course, the schedule has been released, and will, of course, at some point the times will be released as well. The renovation of the Whitney Arena. Talk a little bit about that as far as the renovation is concerned, because the last time we talked, that was still an ongoing thing. When do you expect it to start? And from my understanding, it's in 3 phases. You start with the pool part of it, then the offices part of it, and then the gym, the arena part of it. Where are we on that? When do you expect some things to start moving?
Well, the goal right now is as soon as graduation is over with, probably about a month later, for us to start really trying to move some things forward. We're doing a number of different assessments right now in the building. It's an old building, so we got to make sure from an infrastructure standpoint, and some of those things have been completed. But when we get ready to start putting a shovel in the ground, we want to ensure that we've covered some things from an infrastructure standpoint to allow us still to grow and develop from a technology perspective. You don't want to, right now that building, you know how old it is, so we don't want to just start moving things around and we haven't considered, okay, do we have, from a technology standpoint, are we ready for it to make sure that's in place? And if we need to upgrade, the upgrades, situations in place for us to do that. Structurally, are we meeting certain specifications when it comes to building specs and things like that? So there are some things that we're just kind of dotting our I's and crossing our T's right now, but the goal is about 30 days afterwards is hopefully for us to start putting a shovel in the ground.
So it'll be sometime May, June-ish time frame, once graduation's over.
June, July probably.
June, July. Somebody was asking me about the pool. Will the pool be filled? Will we still have a pool, or will that go away as a part of this phase?
Our conversation right now, we're going to lose the pool indoors. or there's a strong possibility we may be doing something outdoors. That's in talks, but indoor pool situation we probably won't have at Alcorn going forward. It's not in the Whitney building. We're going to utilize that space to create something that not only can help our athletes but can help our student base as well. So we're going to create a facility that can have multi-usage and that our students can be excited about and be a cornerstone for when you come on campus, as it is now, but even bigger and better cornerstone for our campus right when you come on campus.
Then people talk about the basketball arena. Is it too early to talk about that, when that phase of it, will the teams be uprooted, playing games? I remember when we had the last renovation many years ago.
Right.
We wound up playing games in Utica. At Hines, Utica had to make that 45-mile trip from campus to Hines while the arena was being renovated. What time frame are you looking at from the arena standpoint, or is that still a part of the deal?
Well, right now, yes, it is. To answer that question, that is still a part of the deal, and we will have to make some adjustments. We'll have to make some adjustments with staff offices initially. We of course it's an education facility as well, so we'll have to take those things into consideration. We'll also, as we move into the gym, we will have to make some adjustments to where we play. We're going to be doing some things to the old gym here soon as well. So we anticipate volleyball still being able to be on campus, but we may have to make some adjustments, or we will have to make some adjustments for basketball. And Utica is probably going to be an option for us, but we're going to start really early as we get ready to roll into that 25-26 season. Will likely be in our current setting. 26-27, then we may see some changes there. It all depends on how the construction period is going. You just, when you're doing construction, you just never know.
Weather and all kinds of factors.
All kinds of things. So I do believe that as we go into 26-27, or maybe the spring of 27, we'll have to make some adjustments on that.
601-877-6595. I believe Kermit is on the line with a question. Kermit, are you there? I think Kermit's question might have been answered with that. So we appreciate Kermit. He was ready to go. Mr. Robinson, as we see some of the coaches coming in, and
guys go.
The program will be starting at around 6:30, and we'll go to that live. One of the points of contention, and it's been brought up to me at least once every other week, the Connerly Trophy deal. Talk about that. Was that were the coaches a part of who is picked to go on the Connerly Trophy? What is the process for that in terms of how, of course, Xavier Vaughn's name was selected. What is the process for submitting a name? Is it the coach's decision? Is it the AD's decision? A little bit of both? How does that work?
Well, it's not a one-person decision. I can tell you that. There were some people involved in that, in submitting that name, and I know everybody. Not a lot of people were happy with what was submitted, but the student athlete was submitted, and it wasn't a singular decision made by one person. And as we go forward, we'll look at it a lot more closer as to the committee and who's involved and all of that. For me, I had a lot of things on my plate at the time, so my focus was on all of that and a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, but I understand that that needed to be some clarity behind it. I do want to just say that it wasn't a one-person decision. There were some people involved in that. The decision was made, and we will look at it as we go forward. And more than likely, the next time we choose whatever student athlete that is, there's still going to be some folks that are not going to be happy with the decision. But however, we'll be as transparent as we can in that process, and so that we're not revisiting it. And I don't mind talking about it to this degree. but I would like to hopefully, my speaking to it now will allow us to move forward and not hold us in this position, because we definitely want our fans to be excited about our kids and what they're doing in the program, but everybody's never going to always be satisfied with all the decisions that are made. But we just try to make the best decisions that we can make.
All right, I've been told Kermit is back connected. Kermit, good evening. Welcome.
Hey, Charles, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Robinson. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, Kermit. How are you doing? Good to talk to you again.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Mr. Robinson, and this may not be a question. It may not be a fair question to you, but I wanted to ask you. Do we see anything that we're going to do with the track facility in the future? And also, have we considered maybe teaming with a developer to potentially put in a golf course there that we can bring back the golf team, and that would provide additional revenue for athletics as well?
Okay, let me make sure I missed the first part. Are we going to do anything with you said taxability?
The track facility.
Track facility. Okay. That's a two-part question. Well, first of all, the track facility is definitely going to be addressed. I don't know if you've heard. I'm sure you have by now. We just brought back Dr. Alicia Shields-Gadsden, who was one of our most prominent track coaches and produced some of our great athletes, and has a great core of alumni who are very willing and ready to support our track program. And we're looking forward to those upcoming renovations for our track program. And I'm going to tell you, not only to renovate the track, because right now it is kind of out of spec, but the goal is to create a premier track facility and a soccer space within that, and be able to have summer camps and host high school events on our campus to generate revenue from our facility. So as we go forward, I would say within the next 3 to 5 years, you'll see a transformation of our facility, starting with the softball field, the tennis courts, all the way back to the track. We know where we are right now. We're not where we need to be, but we're definitely not where we're going to be as we go forward. So the track facility is definitely on the radar to be one of the things to address sooner than later. As it relates to golf, I love golf, and that's right in my wheelhouse. I can tell you, I have had.
We can have a whole nother show about that, can't we?
That is something that is on my radar for sure. We've talked to some people about the golf course that was up in Port Gibson. There is some conversation about us being involved in the possible renovation of that and utilizing that for some other things. Now, these are just talks right now, so I don't want to, but I can tell you it's not speculation. It is conversation being had to potentially utilize that facility, even though it's no longer functional, but it still has good bones, as they say. And I've spoken to some alumni and some people on campus within our agriculture department about the opportunities that are there. So you're right on point in asking about those things, and I can tell you they're definitely on the list of things that I would love to address. Now that I'm building my staff to be able to handle some things and address things on campus, my goal is to really, really reach out and address some of these things and increase our sponsorship so we can do some of the things that you just mentioned.
I appreciate your transparency. Thank you a lot.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Kermit. Appreciate you calling back. Kermit always is intrigued by a lot of good stuff.
I can appreciate his transparency as well.
We're talking with Athletics Director A.D. Robinson here. Coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to go live to the program here in a few moments. We appreciate Mr. Robinson joining us. Baseball and basketball. We talk about facilities, upgrades in the baseball and softball facilities.
Yep.
They've graded the fields, both softball and baseball, something that's been talked about for probably 15 years, I have to say. Talk about that project. Just bring that stuff up to code.
Yes, we did, and it was a great opportunity to have for us to do that. Our kids are excited about it. Nobody won't be able to say this year or the next year that we have one of the worst fields in the conference, but we definitely did a great job with that. We have everything up to NCAA specifications, the pitch clocks, the field, the padding. Um, so we're excited about both of those programs. Both programs have new coaches. They've infused a lot of excitement within the programs. Other programs are talking about those new coaches because they know what they bring to the table.
Yep.
Especially Coach Hardy, who had a very successful background over at Savannah State. And I just learned the other day that he beat up on Florida State when they were ranked number 10 in the country at one time. So we're really excited about both those programs. We are going to try to turn them into some revenue for us. So people, our fans can be on the lookout for that. We do want to try to generate some form of revenue because we still are trying to create the best experience that we can for our student athletes. And that's what it's about. It's not about Dwayne Robinson, and none of this is going to me. I'm just trying to create the best opportunity that we can because we have student athletes that come to Alcorn because they love it, and when they get there, we want them to have the opportunity to grow, compete, and enjoy Alcorn.
Well, you talk about staffing. Alicia Shields-Gaston's back, and SID. I've been working with that unit, and I've been asked to apply for the job the last 20 years. It's not my cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is you want to. I assist the sports information director, whoever it might be, because that's what I'm supposed to do. But what is the time frame of hiring an athletics media relations director or SID?
If this person doesn't back out, I should have somebody within the next 10 days. 10 working days, I should have someone. I would say 10 calendar days, but sometimes things may move a little slow with the paperwork. But within the next 10 working days, we'll have somebody on staff. They've committed. We've talked and we've interviewed, and there's been a verbal commitment on both sides. So now it's just a matter of getting the paperwork moving forward, and we'll see where we are. We should have someone very soon. We've have some people filling in, helping us out, who've done a really good job, and we're just excited about the opportunity of growth that we're going to have. We're going to start a media group with our students on campus. Mr. Jawani, who's one of our student athletes, is going to be heading that process for us. She's really excited about the opportunity of engaging some of our mass comm students. Met a young man the other day who was just playing pickup ball in the gym as a mass comm major, and he loves to write. So he's going to come by the office tomorrow, and we're going to really start engaging some of the talent that we have on campus. And I think with this new sports information director, that's one of his areas of expertise, is really utilizing the students available at the university that he was at. He currently, and so our goal is to take full advantage of that.
We have a question from the text line, 601-301-2611. How can we increase our social media presence in this particular area of athletics, graphics especially? Obviously, this person not satisfied with the graphics that you're seeing, however way they may look at it, the website. And also, can alumni be made aware when the teams are traveling to out-of-state areas with big alumni associations?
Charles, all of those are great questions, and those are points of interest that I plan on attacking as much as I possibly can. Not having an SID has been we've had to do it with the bare bones. Once we get this person in, our goal is to be a lot more aggressive with our marketing and public relations aspect of athletics. And that includes communicating across campus with our alumni relations department, our social media aspect of athletics, and just getting our alumni more involved. Right now I'm trying to create a listserv where people can drop in their information, and we can put that information out about our programs. I'm trying to collect when I say a listserv, just an email list of folks that want to just be a part of like a newsletter or blast of what we have, because everybody doesn't go to the website. If you want to put your phone number in, and we can send you the text along with the graphic that's going out. It's much easier to share that 5 seconds than it is trying to log into the website sometimes, which you may not always have access to. So those are just some of the things that we want to implement to make ourselves more visible, more engaging with our alumni, and also just engaging our students more and staff that we have on campus. But I can promise you that with over this spring, we're going to get better. As soon as we get this person on campus, we're going to get better in every aspect of that. And going into next year, I'm building a public relations and marketing team that's going to address a lot of these areas as well. We're going to get better, I promise you.
Well, that was my next point. You and I talked a couple of weeks ago. You're doing a PR business type team. You're getting some businesses in the area formulating a committee. Talk about that.
Well, I had I came up with the idea of creating this team and some former alumni, not former alumni, but alumni who are very passionate about Alcorn, volunteered to be a part of that. We recently came together and just talked about it, and we're open to anyone coming and being a part of our success. Within that first meeting, we talked about, set some goals of some things we want to do, and we're going to jump in right away and be a really big part of that. One of the main clogs in that is Robbie Furge. A lot of people know her as Skeeter. She's very instrumental in doing and being a part of that.
She serves good food too.
She does.
I mean,
she is
I'm giving her a plug right now.
Yeah, she has got us going at 100. She's been very involved with our teams and a very dedicated alumnus. I'm not saying that putting her over anybody else, but I tell you, she came. We met about 2.5 months ago, and it's been a blessing to have her around and her energy ever since we've met. So really excited about that. The plan is to, and this will just since we have it out there, for the SWAC tournament. This group is putting together an event on that Thursday. I want to say the 12th. I think we're going to do something special to host for all the alumni in Atlanta. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to have a big fundraising event there, hopefully, to not only hopefully culminate a championship there, but also going into the spring season with some of our other sports. And so it's going to be an opportunity to support all of our sports, all the alumni coming together. And we're excited about just the opportunity of growth that we're having and engaging all of our alumni with some excitement.
And there was a follow-up about new uniforms. I mean, people love the bling. People love the uniform combinations that we have. Talk a little bit about that. Any new uniforms coming up for 2025?
We're gonna surprise you. We're gonna surprise you with some things. I'll tell you what, we are moving over to Nike. So Nike is going to be in the house for us for our new uniforms. So we expect we have recently sat down with that company and developed uniforms for the upcoming year for all of our sports. So our coaches are sitting down with them. So there'll be some new things coming out, and for all of our sports.
Yeah.
But we're excited about where we're going to be going with that.
Yeah, I mean, the apparel thing has always been back and forth. I mean, it's been Nike, It's been New Balance, it's been Adidas, it's been Nike, it's been Adidas. Do we overdo the whole apparel contracts thing, or is that's a lot more meticulous than people might think?
It is meticulous to a point, because even with apparel deals, you still want to get the most bang for your buck. I can tell you right now, now that everything's kind of moving through, we're going to be with Nike for the next 5 years. The goal is, even when that contract ends, the goal is to get the next best deal. Now, that Adidas may come and say, well, Nike is giving you 40% off, we'll give you 55% off. We still have to be cost savings with that. Of course, some people are going to love the Nike look. Some people love the Adidas look. Some people may like the Under Armour look. But we still got to get the best bang for our buck as it relates to our budget. Our students, athletes, they want good gear, the gear that looks good. So throughout, so the goal is to get the best deal, and that's sometimes what creates the back and forth because each school can negotiate their own deal.
Yeah.
I think in the MEAC, it's a conference decision. But in the SWAC, each school can negotiate their own deal, and we just have to see what's out there.
Before we wrap it up here, I think Mr. Moore is at the podium, and we'll get our mic activated up there because we're going to carry all of that coming up. Don't want to forget about basketball. Big win by the Lady Braves on Saturday at Southern University. Destiny Brown and Zaniyah White in the 1,000-point club. The men with a big win. What do you see in the second half of the season for Braves basketball?
Well, I'll tell you, the women are playing really well right now. The men are playing well as well. Coach Bussey has those guys fighting really hard. You know, that Southern game, we had every opportunity to win that game on the men's side. I think from a parity standpoint, we're in a good place to have some success. You know, once you get to the tournament, everybody's 0-0. So Coach Bussey and Coach Kilbert coach very hard. I think our team's in a good place, and there's definitely going to be some success in the second half of the season.
You know what's been talked about in SWAC basketball? This Thursday-Saturday deal. It's been, you know, I kind of talked about it a little bit. Don't want to speculate, don't want to guess. We're all around the league. It's getting a lot of conversation whether or not this Thursdays. And just for some context, it was only approved for this season. In order for it to continue in 2026 at the spring meetings, which will be in May?
June.
In June. It'll have to be voted up the flagpole again. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing? Because this is unique. This is new, unique, it's different. What are your thoughts from the operations standpoint in the whole 9 yards of this Thursday-Saturday deal?
Well, it's created some definite challenges for us. The opportunity is good for women's basketball to have their night, but it's definitely created some challenges for us trying to do 3 nights a week because where we're located,
I think you have to go up?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll end it right here.
Okay.
We appreciate it. We're going to pick this up again.
Look forward to it, Charles.
All right, we're going to take a timeout right here. A.D. Robinson, we're up against it, and we'll take a 2-minute timeout. We'll be right back after this 2-minute break.